All right, welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into the massive and super competitive Indian car market. Using the latest sales data, we're going to figure out who's really in the driver's seat. All right, let's get into it.
So, get this. In the last financial year alone, India saw more than 4.3 million passenger vehicles sold. I mean, that is just a massive number. That puts it right up there as one of the biggest car markets in the entire world. We're talking about a huge pie, right?
But you know, a big number like that, it's just a headline. The real story, the juicy stuff, is in the details. Like who's buying what kind of fuel are people choosing, and most importantly, which companies are just running away with the competition. That's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
So first things first, let's talk about the big dogs, the absolute titans of the industry, the undisputed kings of the Indian road. And right away, you can see this market is seriously top-heavy. I mean, you've got more than a dozen major car brands competing, but get this, just 3 of them are selling most of the cars.
Okay, in this chart, this is where it gets really wild. It's all about the scale here. Just look at that first bar. Maruti Suzuki isn't just number 1, they're in a completely different universe. They're selling almost 3 times more cars than Hyundai, who's in second place. And then you've got Tata Motors right there in a solid third place. So yeah, these 3, they're the ones running the show.
So if you add up all their sales, you get this crazy number, almost 68%. That means 2 out of every 3 cars sold in India come from just those 3 companies. The takeaway here is pretty simple. Even with all the choices out there, most people are walking away with keys to a car from one of these 3 giants. It's incredible.
So, that begs the question, right? If you're not one of those top 3, how in the world do you even compete? Well, some of them get smart. They find a specific niche, and they just own it. Let's take a look at Mahindra. They're number 4, and they have a super specific, really bold strategy.
And this chart, wow, it lays out their game plan perfectly. While everyone else is trying to be everything to everyone, Mahindra has just doubled down hard on diesel. More than 77% of the cars they sell are diesel. And they're focusing on that super popular SUV segment. They know exactly who their customer is, and they are laser-focused on serving that one market.
Okay, so that's strategy from Mahindra. It's a great lead-in to our next section, because it brings us to the bigger story here, the battle of the fuels.
So if we zoom out and look at the whole market, yeah, petrol is still the king. No surprise there. It's in almost 60% of new cars. But check this out. The challenger here is compressed natural gas, CNG. It's surged to almost 20%, and it's actually overtaken diesel to become the number 2 choice. Why? Well, it's all about those lower running costs. And you can see EV and hybrid, still pretty small slices of the pie. But hey, they're on the board, and they're growing. So you can kind of picture the market right now like a big boxing match, right? It's the main event. In one corner, you've got Petrol. It's the long-reigning, heavy-hitting champion. And in the other corner, you've got CNG. It's the lean, scrappy, cost-effective challenger that's winning over fans and gaining ground really, really fast. It's an absolutely fascinating matchup to watch unfold.
Now, most car makers, they play it safe. They offer a mix of options. But some are taking a page out of Mahindra's playbook and pushing that idea to the absolute extreme. I mean, they're not just focusing on one fuel type, they are literally betting the entire company on it.
Let me introduce you to the 100% Club. You've got European brands like Skoda and Volkswagen. They've gone all in on petrol. They've completely ditched diesel in India. Same story for Renault and Nissan. And then on the complete opposite side, you have Jeep. They're doing the Mahindra strategy, but even more so. They only sell diesel vehicles. Talk about a high-risk, high-reward play, huh? But what about the future? Where is all this heading? Well, that brings us to our third and final section, the race to go electric. And we're going to look at both EVs and hybrids. Okay, so right now, EVs, they're still a small piece of the puzzle. We're talking less than 3% of the total market. Yeah, it's a small number, but, and this is a big but, it's growing at an insane pace. And pretty much everyone agrees this is the future. But just how small is it really when you stack it up against today's champ?
To really wrap our heads around the scale here, let's put the entire EV market in a head-to-head matchup with the undisputed king of the road, Petrol.
Okay, this slide right here, this really puts things into perspective. Think about it like this. For every single electric vehicle that gets sold, more than 21 petrol cars are driving off the lot. So the key thing to get here is that while we talk about EVs all the time, the hype is huge, the actual sales numbers have a long way to go to even come close to catching up. So in this brand new emerging market, who's actually jumping out to an early lead? Who are the companies placing the biggest bets on an electric future for India?
Well, the data on this is crystal clear. Tata Motors is the runaway leader here. I mean, they're selling more EVs than the next two competitors combined. That's a massive first-mover advantage. MG Motor has managed to carve out a really strong number 2 spot, and then you've got Mahindra coming in at number 3.
But if we dig just a little bit deeper into MG's numbers, we find something, well, something pretty unique. See, for MG, EVs aren't just some side project or another option in the showroom. No, for them, it's the absolute core of their entire strategy in India.
And this chart, this is just wild to me. For MG, almost 60% of their total sales in India come from electric cars. No other major car company is even in the same ballpark with that level of commitment. They are basically betting the farm that this whole EV transition is going to happen a lot sooner than everyone else thinks.
But of course, going full electric isn't the only way to play this game. There's another path that's really gaining traction, and that's hybrids. And in the world of hybrids, there's one name that stands head and shoulders above everyone else: Toyota.
I mean, just look at this dominance. Toyota sold more than 82,000 hybrids. That's 4 times more than the number 2 player, Maruti Suzuki. So while a lot of companies are going all in on pure EVs, Toyota has made this huge and obviously very successful bet that hybrids are the right next step for the Indian driver.
And so all of this, it kind of leaves us with one final big question. We've seen the champions of petrol, the diehards for diesel, the rise of CNG, and the steady push of hybrids. But then you have MG, a company where most of its sales are already electric. So is their all-in strategy just an oddity, a total outlier? Or are they actually giving us a sneak peek into the future, a glimpse of what the entire Indian car market might look like very soon? It's a fascinating question, and the answer is going to define the next decade on India's roads.